Hey, welcome back to Unstuck. If you've been listening since season one, really honestly, thank you. Last season, I talked a lot about building better businesses. We talked about marketing, growth, leadership systems, all the things that help a company move forward. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing something that I just couldn't unsee. I work with business owners every day. Some are trying to grow, some are trying to prepare their companies for sale, some are trying to get out of the weeds after years of carrying everything themselves. I get it. On paper, many of them have similar businesses. They have good people, good products, good opportunities. Some even have nearly identical strategies, and yet one company executes while another one stalls. One owner seems to create momentum almost effortlessly, while another feels like they're pushing a boulder uphill every single day. For a long time, I assumed the difference had to be strategy. Maybe one company needed better marketing, or maybe they needed a new pricing model, or maybe they needed a stronger leadership team. Maybe they needed better systems. Those things absolutely matter. But over time, I've realized strategy isn't the biggest differentiator anymore. The biggest differentiator was the person responsible for carrying the strategy. It was the owner. More specifically, it was the owner's capacity. That's what this season is going to be about. Not business strategy, owner capacity, because I honestly believe your business will rarely outgrow your strategy first. It will almost always outgrow your capacity to lead it. And I see it all the time. And now, when I say capacity, I don't mean time. Most of us immediately think capacity means I don't have enough hours in the day. I don't think that's actually the problem, though. We've all met people who seem to accomplish incredible things without looking frantic all the time. And we've met people who have an entire day available but never seem to make meaningful progress. Same number of hours, completely different capacity. Capacity is not your calendar, it's your ability to think clearly, to make another decision at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, to have one more difficult conversation without avoiding it, to respond instead of react, to recover from a hard week instead of carrying that stress into the next one or into your family or wherever you may take it, to keep leading when things get uncomfortable. That is capacity. And here's why I think this matters so much. Imagine two business owners. They both walk into work on a Monday morning. Both have 12 meetings. Both have employees asking questions. Both have customers waiting for answers. Both have cash flow to monitor. Both have a dozen decisions to make. Owner has slept well. They've taken care of themselves. Their energy is steady. They've built enough margin into their life that they can think before they respond. The second owner is running on 5 hours of sleep. Breakfast was coffee. Lunch is probably going to be whatever they can grab between meetings at the gas station. They've already carried stress from last week, and they haven't had a real break in months. Now, here's the interesting part. The business problems they face today might be identical, but the way they experience those problems won't be. The first owner sees an employee question as an opportunity to coach. The second owner thinks, ugh, I'll just do it myself. It's faster. We've all been there. The first owner sees a mistake and asks, what systems allowed this to happen? The second owner immediately starts wondering who's to blame. The first owner has enough emotional bandwidth to step back and look for patterns, while the second owner is simply trying to survive the day. Same business, same challenge, different capacity, different outcome. This is something I've been fascinated with over time, over the last few years, because it keeps showing up in places that people don't expect, and candidly, it shows up in my life too. We talk about business strategy as if it exists outside the human being making the decisions, but it doesn't. Leadership doesn't happen in a vacuum. Your body comes to work with you. Your stress comes to work with you. Your sleep comes to work with you. Your nutrition comes to work with you. Your recovery or lack of recovery comes to work with you. Every hiring decision, every sales conversation, every difficult meeting, every strategic choice. There's a human nervous system sitting underneath all of it, and yet we rarely talk about that in business. Instead, we celebrate people for pushing harder, for hustling, for grinding longer, for sacrificing more, as if that's somehow the price of building a successful company. I don't think it has to be. Maybe that's a hot take. In fact, I think one of the biggest reasons businesses eventually stop growing is because eventually the owner becomes the bottleneck, not because they're incapable, but because they're just carrying too much. We are carrying too much as business owners. Think about what happens when your capacity starts shrinking. You stop delegating because explaining something just feels exhausting. You delay hard conversations because you don't have the emotional energy. You just don't. You start making short term decisions because long term thinking requires mental space. You've become reactive and everything feels urgent. Your team starts depending on you even more because you're solving every problem that lands on the desks. Ironically, the harder you work, the more essential you become. And while that might feel productive, it's actually reducing the value of your business, especially in my world of exit planning. That's something that we see all the time. A company can be profitable, it can even be growing, but if everything depends on one exhausted owner holding the entire thing together, the business is fragile. Not because the strategy is wrong, because the business has outgrown the owner's capacity. That's why this season feels so important to me. We're still going to talk about business a lot. We're going to talk about leadership, growth, decision making, building valuable companies, preparing businesses for exit. But we are also going to talk about the things that most business podcasts ignore: sleep, stress, recovery, nutrition, strength, decision fatigue, resilience. Not because this is becoming a health podcast. It's because I don't think those are health topics anymore. I think they're leadership topics. They're business topics. If your energy determines how you lead, if your recovery determines how you think, if your stress determines how you communicate, then those aren't side conversations. They're central to how your business performs. And I think it's time we started treating them that way. So before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one question. Where have you been blaming your business for something that's actually happening inside you? Maybe you think you need another strategy, another hire, another marketing campaign, another productivity system. And maybe you do. But maybe the bottleneck isn't your marketing or your sales or your operations. Maybe it's the person trying to carry it all. The good news is capacity isn't fixed. It's something that you can build. And that's exactly what we're going to do together in this season. So thanks for being here. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with another business owner who feels like they're carrying more than they should. And next week, we're going to dive into one of my favorite conversations. The nervous system is running your company. And until then, remember this: your business won't outgrow your strategy nearly as often as it will outgrow your capacity to lead it.